Hello and a very good evening. This is DJ Amos in the house with the beautiful Nisha. I'll just swap the pictures around a little bit because I think I've turned into Nisha here. How you guys doing? Welcome to Saturday Night Live. And this evening we have a very, very special guest. We have a lot of special guests this evening, actually. We have Maestro Henry Fiol. We're going to be talking to him, talking about his musical journey, his life stories, tell us, share some of his secrets and so and so. And we're going to be talking about his new book. Where is it? It's here. I have it in my hand. This is it, the short end of the stick, and it's going to be an absolutely blast. I've already started reading it, and I'm really enjoying it. So nicely written. It's just unbelievable. And I'll let Nisha have a few words.
Good morning, good evening, good afternoon. A very pleasant day to all of you, I wish. And I hope you are doing good. I hope you had a beautiful last week. Today, I'm really looking forward to this wonderful time that we're going to have with Henry Fiol and Cara Clark's birthday today. And with DJ Leche, we all love him so much. So let's see what we have in store together for all of you. Yes, DJ Amos.
Absolutely. So if I'm looking down at my phone, it's because I'm sharing something, letting people know that we're live. And we're going to bring in, first of all, DJ Leche in the room. Hello, Emilio, aka DJ Leche. Thank you
How are you,
so
Amos?
I'm good. Let me just thank you first for introducing me to Henry. I really appreciate that. I'm a big fan of his, and his music is simply awesome. And now this book, wow, mind blowing. It's so well written. Thank you. How have you been today? Tell us what's going on.
I'm good. I'm good, Amos. I'm good. It's a hot day here in New York. It's uncommon to be this hot at this time of the fall season, but we had 2 hot days, and I'm ready to get this conversation rolling, man. We got to talk to
Awesome.
Henry.
Awesome, awesome indeed. And also we have the birthday girl, the beautiful Cara. Happy
Good morning,
birthday, young
everyone.
lady.
Hi.
Happy
It's my quinceañera for the third time or fourth. No, not yet.
Now you'll be celebrating for the next 24 hours with the COVID party crew and us lot and tomorrow,
Yes.
and you'll get another shout tomorrow as well. So there we
Woohoo.
are. Awesome. How old are you again? 21, as I put it on the description, which is
Yes,
about
for the
right.
yes,
It's about right, yes.
absolutely.
Have you been spoiled? Have you been spoiled?
Oh my gosh, I got flowers yesterday. I got a gift certificate for an hour-long massage. I got a silk scarf. My cousin made me breakfast this morning, and I have my mimosa,
Awesome.
cranberry, and bubbly.
All
So I'm
right.
ready.
Nice, nice, nice.
Thank you.
And of course, let's welcome into the house, into the room. Give it up.
Yeah.
Woo!
Yes, Mr. Henry Fiol. Absolutely an amazing, amazing opportunity for us to talk to you. It's an honor to meet you. Thank you very, very much for joining us this evening. Absolutely, absolutely a blast. I'm just like, wow, can't believe it. Can't believe it.
Okay.
Nisha.
Well, thank you very much, Amos. It's a pleasure to be here with all of you, and very nice of you to think of me.
No, it's absolutely great. Great. Nisha, a few words from you, please, while I just share this.
We are so happy to see you here, Henry. And it is it's such a proud privilege for us to have you with us and learn about your entire journey. It's such a long journey. We're just going to have 2 hours. It's bare minimum for us. It's not going to be enough. We are going to want more and more of you. But I think this is a beautiful beginning today. So we are really, really looking forward to it, and I'm sure everyone will enjoy your company with us today. I'm going to take this also opportunity to say hello to Anya is here with us, Mauricio is here with us, um, Malcolm Vaz is joining us, Cara Clark's birthday. So let's how about starting with singing for her?
That sounds like a plan.
Oh
Yeah,
my God.
Okay, are we ready
do you
on
want?
three? On
Estas
three.
son las mañanitas.
3, 2, 1. Happy birthday to
To
you.
you. Happy
Happy birthday
birthday
to
to
you.
you.
Happy
Happy
birthday,
birthday, dear
dear
Kara.
Cara. Happy
Happy
birthday to
birthday
you.
to you.
Gracias. Y muchos más.
Wow, great, great. So, we'll start. We'll start off with the questions, and we'll start with Nisha as per usual. So there we go. Let's fire away.
So 50 years of, is it 50 years or is it more now? How many years? I mean, see, you were always into music. We were just talking, DJ Amos and I, that whoop pop, right? Is that before you got into Latin? So you were always into music and you started with the flute. So um do you want to talk to us about how you began, um, when
Well,
you started?
well, Nisha, I wasn't always into music uh, um, as the main thing in my life.
Art.
From the time I was a child, my first love was art, drawing and painting. And I studied art in college, and I always liked music, and I was, when I got to be a teenager, I got involved in Latin music, and I started going to the clubs and dancing and hearing the music and getting involved in the Latino culture. But really, if you start at the beginning, with me, it was art, visual art. And then after I graduated from college and I got face to face with the reality of the art world, that very elitist, aristocratic world of art and uh, exhibitions and cocktail parties, and I felt very out of place, and that kind of motivated me a little more to move away from the art and get more and more involved in music.
Wow.
So,
Art. Go
so
on,
you're
carry on.
always an artist. So that I'm sure you are still painting and drawing for yourself or for your family even today. Do you do that? I see a beautiful painting at the back.
Well, I haven't been painting lately within the last few months, but every now and then I do some painting. Although my most recent work has been like abstract. You can see a little bit of on the corner there. You see some colored stripes.
Yes.
Um, that's more like the work that I've been doing recently. But uh, I've been more involved with the book right now, so I haven't been doing too much as far as painting is concerned. I'm the type of person that I can't chew gum and walk at the same time, so I can only concentrate on one thing at a time. That's the way it goes with me.
So before I ask you about the book and before we you tell us more about your book, I would like to ask you about your albums. Because I read the names of different albums that you've made, uh, and maybe some were not mentioned there. So, and in so many years, I would like you to tell everyone, share how many albums have you created till now?
Well, I think I've done like 16 or 18 albums, but if you include the albums, greatest hits albums, and those compilation albums, it would be more than 20 if you include them. But I think it's around 16 or 18 albums. And I've been in the music business for about 52 years at this point.
And any idea whether all your albums are still available and are sold? Any idea about that? Whether all the DJs and the music lovers could buy all the albums now?
Well, I don't know about my previous albums, but my last three recordings, I recorded them and I put them up on my internet, uh, uh, my uh, my website for a free download. So there's three complete albums, 31 new songs that are my own compositions, and you can download these albums free of charge off of my website, henryfiol.com.
That's awesome. I'm sure everyone is going to be very excited to do that. I'm going to be doing that as soon as I finish this.
Brilliant.
Yes.
Emilio.
How about DJ Leche? Yeah.
Well, Henry, like Henry said, I could probably answer these questions for Henry. I know so much about Henry. I did a little tribute to him on my show, and we spoke over the pandemic. And Henry is a wonderful guy, man. Everyone that interviews him in the past that has met him at concerts have always said how such a down to earth guy he is, and that's very pleasing. Henry studied art at Hunter College in Manhattan, and I actually work right around there once in a while. And every time I pass by Hunter College, I'm like, "Yep, that's where the Maestro went to school."
Awesome.
17 studio albums started with Saoko. And then in 1980 he made his first album Fe Esperanza y Caridad with SAR Records, and eventually he started his own label with Corazon. Henry is a tremendous work of art, and whatever he focuses on, he's at it 100%. Like he said, he can't do two things at the same time because he has to give all his energy to one thing at a time, which is what he's doing right now with his book that he has out. He started in the 90s with this book, and he had to rewrite a little bit of it, and now it's officially out. And it's a wonderful book. I have it. I don't have it with me because I have it at work. I have it in my locker at work, and I read it. I'm halfway done with the book. I don't want to give any spoilers at all, but it is a wonderful story. It is very nice, easy to read for those that don't read that much, and it's a great story. And it's I recommend it highly. It's on Amazon. You can get it paperback, or you can get it on like electronic version if you have like a Fire Kindle or anything like that. My question for Henry is, Henry, you have a presentation coming up with my friends, my promoter friends, Lucy Correa and Bradley. Bradley's actually a Bolivian guy. He's Bolivian just like me. They're December 17th, I think. You're going to Miami with Maelo Ruiz. And man, I'm gonna see them tonight because we have a concert tonight with Bobby Valentin. So I wanted to I'm gonna give them I'm actually gonna give them one of your records to see if maybe you can sign it in Miami because I'm not gonna be able to go down there to Miami. But yeah, I can't believe Henry has been is still going, is still trucking, even though he has his book out, promoting this book everywhere. He still has a presentation coming up, and we're just very grateful to have this guy with all his talent, giving his heart to the world, whether it is through art, music, or literature, or live performances. He's still doing it. He's the man. What else can we say, right? Henry, you got this performance coming up. How do you feel about it?
Well, thanks for the kind words, Emilio. I'm a little worried about it because I haven't done anything in music since the COVID started. And we're talking about almost a year and 3 quarters, almost 2 years at this point. So I've been getting a lot of calls, and I've been uh, refusing offers and that kind of thing. But finally, I decided that I might as well get my feet wet and see what it would be like to get back on stage. So I accepted this show in Miami for December 11th, and I might as well take advantage of the opportunity to invite all of the fans from the UK, because I'm going to be performing in January at the Salsa Congress in Bristol, and that's
Nice.
going to be a weekend affair. I think the dates are January 7th, 8th, and 9th, and I'm supposed to do a show on January 9th of next year. So if you want to mark it on your calendar, all of the
I'm
UK
already there. I'm already
Salsa
there.
fans, God willing, without anything unforeseen happening, I should be there on January 9th in Bristol.
I've already booked the restaurant for dinner for us, Henry. So there we are. That's a done job. We will be there for sure, definitely. Let's have something from Cara, and then I'll fire away. Cara, fire away, love.
Hey, um, so Henry, I'm sorry. I'm out in the country. There's acorns falling and things happening. Um, I'm really new to salsa as a fan. I think having musician parents, I've always been exposed to music. Um, and I've always loved Latin music, but I didn't really know a lot about it until I would say the last 3 or 4 years. So, in a way, I'm really lucky because I have everything in front of me. I don't have a lot of history yet with salsa. And I'm fairly new to your music as well. The first song I heard of yours that I'm aware of, that I'm like, what is this song? I have to know right now. And I listen to it nonstop, is Zumbale. So I don't know how special that song might be to you, but I freaking love it. I listen to it when I walk home. I'm like dancing around, and I'm like, when he's like, y todos le dicen mami. And it's such a beautiful song, and it's so complex to me. It's got horns and African feeling and everything. Can you tell me a little bit about how that song came to be? Or
Well, Zumbale is a very interesting song because I recorded that I think around 1991, and it didn't really hit until 20 years later. When I recorded it, it flew under the radar and nobody paid any attention to it. And then 20 years later, from what I understand, it became very popular in Madrid in the discos. This is basically a dance song.
yeah.
There's not too much meaning in the lyrics. In fact, to tell you the story of how it came about, at that time I used to work as a teacher and counselor, and I remember one day in the classroom, in the back of the classroom, there were two little Dominican girls who were playing like a patty cake game with hand claps, and they were saying the words to Zumbale, and I was listening to them. I says, "Wow, that's very catchy." So I told one of the girls, I says, "Do me a favor, tell me all the words of your game, but tell me slowly so I can write it down." So after I wrote it down, and then, well, obviously I put music to it, and I added a chorus and this and that, and I made it into a song. But basically, it's a nonsense song, and it's based on a children's patty cake game.
Oh, that's wonderful.
You
I
know,
love that.
and because what I try to do on each album, even though now we've gone back to the 50s, now the format is no longer albums, it's singles. But in each album that over the years, I always try to look for a balance. I would include a couple of songs with a spiritual message, a couple of songs with a socio-political message, a couple of songs that were humorous, a couple of romantic songs, and a couple of songs that were simply for dancing, pa gozar y bailar, like they say in Spanish.
Exactamente.
And Zumbale falls into that category. It was
Yeah.
one of those simple dimple dancing tunes. And,
It's so fun. It's very
Yes, it is.
uplifting.
It's an absolutely great song. So I've got that queued up, so I'm going to play that now. So let's have that. So this is the first song of the evening. This is Maestro Henry Fiol's Zumbale. Guys, enjoy and share the love.
Muchachita con su cuadro da la vuelta y toca el piso, alza la falda entre los chicos con su peinado y maquillaje. Se lo hizo en el salón, su vestido de ladrón. Ajá.
Zumbale, lale, lale, zumbale, lale,
Nena,
zumbale, lale, lale, zumbale, lale,
mami,
zumbale, lale, lale, zumbale, lale,
mima,
zumbale, lale, lale, zumbale, lale.
ay nena, no te compares que tiene un cuerpo que ya
tú sabes.
Tumba esquina, que
Tumba
tumba
en
calle,
Cali, que todo el mundo te dice,
mami,
Zumbale, lale, lale, zumbale, lale,
cosa más rica,
zumbale, lale, lale, zumbale, lale.
cosa más buena.
Zumbale, lale,
Como te gusta la rumba, como
Como
te
te
gusta
gusta
el
el
bembé.
bembé.
Cuando me dé al taller, yo sí me muevo los pies. Tú eres pura dulzura, sabe bailar como es. Zumba, 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 le. Ay, nena, no te compares, que tiene un cuerpo que ya tú sabes, que tú la esquina, que tú la calle, que todo el mundo te dice, mami, que tiene un cuerpo camina muchacha, menea muchacha, guapea muchacha, la rumba se formó con loco frenesí, escucha esta voz que suena para ti. Zumba, 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 lelale.
Ataca. That's Domingo Cruz, Archie Hernandez on the bongos and conga.
Can you hear me if I say so?
Yeah, we hear you.
Well, that's I'm taking the quinto solo over there. So that's not a bongo, that's a quinto, a high-pitched conga. And I'm playing the solo.
That's you. That's amazing.
And you also play the maracas and the guiro in this song, right?
Yeah, I do that on all my songs.
Esa negrita baila como es. Zumba, 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 zumba. Zumba, 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 dale.
Ba 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 ba.
Wow, what a great track. Wow, wow,
Yes.
wow. Maestro
From
Henry Fiol. What a
From
great track.
1991, Creativo.
Absolutely. What a great track. So, Henry, please tell us, when you started your musical career, who was your influence and what made you choose the genre salsa?
Well, to take it all the way from the top, when I was an adolescent, a young teenager, I was into what was popular at the time in New York City, which was what we now call doo-wop music, the vocal groups. And that's what I was listening to. And then I was about 13 or 14, and we went to Puerto Rico to visit the family, and I had the pleasure of seeing Cortijo y su combo live with Ismael Rivera when they were in their heyday at the time when they had songs like Quítate de la Vía Perico, Severa, Negro Bembón, and all of that. And I was really blown away. And then I had a little girlfriend who introduced me to Pacheco y su charanga. And when I came back from Puerto Rico, I started to push my doo-wop records to the side, and I started to uh, buy Latin records. It wasn't called salsa at that time, and little by little, I got more and more interested in Latin music, and especially at that time, the charanga was very popular. The first half of the 60s in New York, the charanga style, the instrumentation of charanga with the flute and the violins was very popular. All of the main bands were either a charanga or a variation of a charanga. And I was very attracted to the flute. And my parents, they supported me with that because my great uncle was a very famous, well-known flautist in the United States. His name was Leonard Posella, my grandmother's brother, and he studied at Juilliard, and he had his own chamber group. He was part of the Los Angeles Philharmonic, and he was the lead flautist for Warner Brothers that made the films in Hollywood. And so when they saw I was interested in the flute, right away they supported me with that. And I took a couple of lessons with this Cuban gentleman because I was the flute that I was trying to learn how to play was the 5 key pre-Boehm charanga flute, and he came and he gave me a couple of lessons, but he didn't speak any English, and my Spanish wasn't very good at the time, and he gave me these complicated books to do practice books in Spanish, and it was just too tedious for me. So finally, I got a fingering chart, and I learned the different fingering positions for the different notes, and then I just took it by ear, and I used to play along with my records. That's it.
Wow, brilliant, absolutely brilliant. Just a quick shout out to a few people, if you just bear with me. We have people listening in now in Lithuania also as well. So shout out to DJ Minis all the way in Lithuania, to Bob Croucher in Manchester, to Anya in Poland, to Susie Farago in Manchester. We got Lena in Chicago there, Anya in Germany, Nisha. There's a lot of people from India as well. Gerard O'Reilly in Ireland. Thank you very, very much. A shout out to Erhard Rodriguez also, and to
There is Tito Rodriguez. Maestro was there in the.
yes, Tito Rodriguez is in the house as well. So good
Yeah, I
evening to
tagged
you,
him.
sir, as well. Nice that you have joined us.
A number of my friends are here from India. Dr. Victor Rodriguez, Aziz Malgi, Sarika is here. Malcolm was here, and then there's so many others.
Everyone's here to see Henry Fiol.
Billy Crespo's in the house as well. Good evening to you, Billy. Hope you're okay. Back to Nisha.
So I read that you before you got into music, you were teaching. So what were you teaching?
Well, after I graduated from college, I became an art teacher in the Catholic schools of New York City, and after I did that for about 5 years, then I moved to the public schools, and I wasn't really a classroom teacher. I was like a counselor, a drug abuse counselor, and I would uh, help students who had learning disabilities, problems with drugs, family problems, uh, and that sort of thing. I would give them counseling, and we used to have rap sessions, and I did that until I was trying to do the music and working in the schools at the same time, until it got to the point where I was traveling too much, and I exhausted all my leaves of absence, and I had to just stop working in the schools because I was traveling too much at that point. So that's the story behind that.
I'm relating with you because I love music and dancing so much, and I dance almost every day and enjoy music. And I myself have been running a school. I think many years now. I think almost 23 years, almost 28 years, 30 years I've been teaching. But now I'm kind of drifting away from teaching to full-time music and dancing. So I can relate with you here.
Well, congratulations. Best of luck with your career as a full-time dancer.
Thank you so much. And
Cara.
did you even teach? Sorry, Cara.
No,
But did
no,
you
sir.
even teach dancing? Sorry, it's not dancing, music.
You're
See, I
talking.
can't think beyond dancing. Did you teach music when you started?
Yeah, I used to teach. You're speaking to me, right? Yeah, I taught art and I taught music in the Catholic schools. Um, I also taught one year. I taught social studies. I did a few different things in the Catholic schools, and it's funny because one of the schools was down in this area where I've been living for the last 45 years, and it introduced me to the neighborhood, and I became a resident, and I'm still here.
Yes, Cara. Thank you.
Cara, sorry.
Cara.
That's okay. I was like, why am I on the screen so big right now? Oh, it looks like Carlos Lopez has a question for you, Maestro. He says, what was the history behind the song Ahora me da pena?
Well, what happened after I left Saoko and I became a soloist? My first recording with the SAR label, um, the producer Roberto Torres, he didn't want any original songs on that first album. He wanted me to do versions of old Cuban tunes, and he suggested several songs to me. And one of them was Ahora me da pena, and he showed me the Compay Segundo version, which was a country version played on guitars. Didn't have any horns or anything like that. And I liked the song, and I took it to my arranger, Russell Farnsworth, and we took the song and we put it into salsa. We added uh, some different choruses to it, and but my main worry with that song was that I took the liberty of changing the third verse because in the original version, Compay Segundo talks about Cuba and his hometown and this and that. And I felt funny singing. I'm a New York kid and I'm going to be singing about a town in Cuba. And so I took the liberty of changing the lyrics so that it would reflect my reality. And instead of saying Yo nací en Siboney en la provincia de Oriente, I changed it to Yo nací en Nueva York en el condado de
De
Manhattan.
Manhattan.
And I was always worried that Compay Segundo was going to sue me or would be very unhappy with the liberty that I took with with his song. And what happened was is that after the Buena Vista Social Club became such a big hit, they came to New York City to perform at the world famous Carnegie Hall, and I got a call from one of the from Eliades Ochoa, and they invited me to the rehearsal, and I met Compay Segundo and the other members of the group, and I apologized to him, and he was so nice about it. He says, "No, are you kidding? He loved my version, and in fact, he wanted me to do a version of his song Chan Chan that was very popular at the time, and he wrote the lyrics for me on a napkin." And so at least I was able to breathe a sigh of relief that Compay Segundo wasn't upset or offended about the liberty that I took with his lyrics. And that's the story behind that.
Awesome, awesome. Wow. Going back to your early days, can you tell us when you played on stage, who would you have liked to have played with, and who did you enjoy playing with most at a concert?
Well, that's hard to say because I always, um, when I first started, I was playing with different groups in New York. First, as a conga player, I would play conga and sing chorus. And then I got together with my partner, William Young, excellent bass player. We started Saoko, and after that, I became a soloist. But the bands that I would see in New York at the time that I liked very much was mainly Pacheco. I always was a big fan of Pacheco's band. I liked Típica 73 when they first came out. That was an excellent group. And there were several other bands that I would have liked to play with. But I wasn't the kind of singer that could just come in be a utility man to sing with an already established group. I had too many of my own ideas about my style, and so I already understood that wasn't in the cards for me.
Thank you for that. I'm just going to play another track. This is for Carlos Lopez because he asked the question. It was already queued up. Ahora me de pena. So this is it. So let's have some music. Here we go. Then we'll bring DJ Emilio for the questions.
From 1980, Fe, Esperanza y Caridad on SAR Records. Chocolate on trumpet.
Tengo pena contigo, tú dices que estás penando. Tengo pena contigo, tú dices que estás penando. Tú dices que no te quiero, que ya te estoy olvidando. Tengo pena contigo y comparto tu condena. Tengo pena contigo, yo comparto tu condena. También espero el grito que romperá las cadenas. Nací en Nueva York, en el condado de Manhattan. Yo nací en Nueva York, en el condado de Manhattan, donde perro come perro y por un peso te matan. La rutina,
Pena me da,
el truquito,
hasta pena me da,
la maroma,
pena me da.
ay bendito. Habla, Choco.
You can still do this song, Henry. You got this. I think you can still do this song.
Hasta pena me da,
La rutina,
pena me da,
el
People are gonna
truquito,
go nuts in Miami when they hear this song.
la maroma,
pena.
ay bendito.
Hasta pena me da,
La jugada,
pena me da,
el truquito,
hasta pena me da,
la maroma,
pena me da.
ay bendito.
Is that Alfredo Valdez on the piano?
Yeah, Alfredo Valdez Jr., yeah, on the piano, yeah. You gotta bring your pajamas to listen to these star records because every song was long. That's what they did. They wanted all the songs very long. And some of the LPs had only 4 songs on it. There's a Papaito album that has 2 songs on it. That was their way of doing things. They would stretch the songs out. So this is a very long song.
Yeah, you dance is really apretadito. You hug your querido or querida and you dance very, you know.
Víctimas del ay bendito.
You got Yayo el Indio also on the chorus, ¿verdad?
No, not on this. This was Roberto Torres doing the chorus, and I'm not sure. Yeah, I think you're right. I think it was Yayo el Indio. Yeah.
Son víctimas de circunstancias, víctimas de su truquito.
Yayo el Indio and Adalberto Santiago.
Yes.
Esto sí está bueno ya. pa' pobre,
bendito,
rico pa' rico.
bendito,
Viene cantazo, ella viene grito.
bendito,
Espera que salga
bendito,
tu numerito.
bendito,
Espera que gane
bendito,
tu caballito.
bendito. Hasta pena me da, pena me da, hasta pena me da, pena me da, hasta pena me da, pena me da, hasta pena me da, pena me da.
Pobre pa' pobre,
Bendito,
rico pa' rico.
bendito,
Viene cantazo, ella viene grito.
bendito,
Oye boricua,
bendito,
no pierde el orgullo.
bendito,
Despierta mi pana,
bendito,
defiende lo tuyo.
bendito. Ay, bendito. Ay, bendito. Ay, bendito. Ay, bendito.
Viene cantazo, ella viene cantazo. Sonará el cantazo, llegará el cantazo.
Bendito,
Espera el cantazo, que ya viene cantazo. Que se oigan el grito, que venga el grito.
bendito.
Yes,
Yes. What a
from
beautiful
the
track.
from the solo album with Russell Henry, Fiol, Fe, Esperanza y Caridad. Some of these first albums of Henry's, if you look at the covers of the cover art, Henry is the one that designed and he drew the cover art. He did the art for a lot of these beginning albums, these LPs. He was, as you guys know, he was an artist. He was studied art at Hunter College. So this one is the cover. If you try to look at the cover, if you have the album or if you Google it, it's so nice. The colors and the women and the forest. Very nice album. And then when it started getting to like when they started making out CDs, he stopped doing. I think that's when you stopped doing the album covers, right, Henry?
Yeah, well, thank you, Emilio. Yeah, I always painted the covers of my LPs back in the day. Uh, I did the first two Saoko albums, and I did my solo albums up until the LP was reduced to CD and cassette. It lost the impact because of the size.
Yeah.
But in those days, the cover art was very important, and a lot of record sales were were brought about by the cover art. The cover art kind of like uh, got the record buyer intrigued, and it piqued their curiosity, and sometimes it motivated them to make the purchase. So
Yes.
a lot of those covers were very important as far as putting those albums on the map. Um, I'd just like to mention that as far as the sound on that song and some of those early SAR records, um, I recorded with a studio band with some of the best musicians in New York.
Oh
So
yeah.
a lot of the credit goes to them. They made me sound great. You had Chocolate Almenteros on the trumpet, one of the all-time greats. Alfredito Valdez on the piano, Guillermo Edgehill on the bass. You had Johnny Rodriguez on the bongos. It was like an all-star studio band. And
Yeah.
my arranger, Russell Farnsworth, was
Ski.
very instrumental also in those SAR recordings because um, what distinguished my recordings from the other SAR recordings was the arrangements because we did it together, me and Russell Farnsworth and we worked on those arrangements together, and they were a little different from the other SAR recordings. So in fact, I should. It's an interesting anecdote. that one day I was working with Russell Farnsworth on an arrangement, and he casually mentioned to me, "Well, you know, my father invented television." And
Wow.
I says, "What?" I thought he was fooling around. And it turns out that his father, Philo T. Farnsworth, is credited as the inventor of television. He invented the cathode ray tube, and he's considered the inventor of television. His son is playing bass. Before he got involved with me, he was the bass player for Richie Ray and Bobby Cruz in the 60s. And then he got involved with me. But here he is, the son of a famous inventor playing bass in a salsa band.
Wow.
Awesome. That's amazing. Nisha.
I want to ask you about your book, The Short End of the Stick. Uh, what inspired you to write this book? I read a little summary of it. Very interesting. I mean, this young man, when he's he has a this problem where he limps, and he decides that, okay, I'm just thinking about how his thought process must be, that okay, I'm not going to walk, I'm going to ride, and I'm going to gallop on the horse, is what uh, I'm thinking, so I'm very excited to read the book. Actually, now on second thoughts, I must get it for myself and read it, because I would like to know uh, what exactly happens after that, because and what inspired you to write that story, and that, from where did
Well,
that idea come?
well, it's a complicated question. To take you back to, I first wrote this. The first version of this was written
'94.
like in the late 90s. I think I started writing it at about 94, 95. And what motivated me was a lot of different factors. First of all, my father was always involved in horse racing. He eventually became a racehorse trainer, and I grew up going to the racetrack, and that's my favorite sport. And I'm to this day. I just finished watching the championship day, the British Championship Day from Ascot.
Wow.
So I follow the horse racing, and so that's where the horse racing angle comes from my father. And then a lot of people don't know that my mother is Italian American, and I was raised across the street from my grandparents, and I really considered myself more of an Italian boy uh, all the way up until I got to be 13 or 14 when we went to Puerto Rico, and I was like blown away by the beauty of the island. And then I started to identify with my Latino side. But uh, really, I'm very Italian, especially in terms of my values and my way of doing things. And the older I get, the more Italian I realize that I am. And my mother had passed away around that time, and I wanted to write an Italian story. And the story is the setting for the story is a neighborhood that used to be called Italian Harlem. It's no longer called that because the Italian people are pretty much gone and moved away. But at that time, it was one of the largest Italian American neighborhoods in New York. And that's the setting for the story. As far as the boy and his handicap, um, I'm the father of a handicapped child. My first son is born blind, blind from birth. So I understand what it means for a boy to be handicapped, and and I understand what that's all about. And I took my experiences as a father of a handicapped child, and I brought them into the story as well. Um, and that's basically the different angles that came together and motivated me to write the book. Unfortunately, after I wrote it, the first version was very long, and it was hard to read because I wanted to be super authentic. and I was writing a lot of it phonetically in the Italian American accent from the street, and was a lot of people found it very difficult to read. And not only that, but it was a very raw, crude type of story from the streets of New York, and a lot of the literary people that I brought it to, they thought it wasn't literary enough, and I couldn't find a publisher. So finally, when I got a little too depressed, getting too many rejections, I decided to put it away, and it stayed hidden away in a drawer for like a long time, almost 20 years, until a producer who did a profile on me for a TV program started asking me about it, and I answered her questions. But it got me thinking that now things are different. The internet changed the record business. It changed also the book business, because in those days when I was shopping it around, it was very difficult to self-publish a book. And if you did self-publish it, it was called vanity publishing, because you would just print up some books and they would just hang around your house and nobody was going to know about them, and it was just for vanity purposes. But now with the internet, uh, self-publishing is a viable option, because you can put a book on Amazon and people can find it and they can order it. And I decided, well, now things are different. So I decided to rewrite it. I wrote it all over again. I trimmed off all of the fat and I made it more streamlined. I made the language more easier to read. I simplified the language. And I must say that my old partner from Saoko, William Millan, was very, very helpful in helping me to design the book, to get a company to do the formatting of the book. It's a very complicated process to publish a book, and William Millan was very, very helpful, and it's an achievement that I share with him, because he was really like my right hand man, going through all the steps of self publishing. So that's where we stand. And now it's available on Amazon.com, and you can order it as a paperback or as an ebook. And I hope you like it.
It's an amazing publication. I've got two questions for you. They are both DJs. And start with Yeva, who's in Lithuania. She says, "I'll put it on the screen as well. It's a long question." Okay, ready. So the question: why are the songs so long? They are very groovy and danceable. Nearly puts you into a trance. But I don't play much on the parties just because I might need to cut them. I don't like to do that. Anyway, is there a reason why the songs are made so long?
Well, the only songs that were long was the first
in the
two
fast
albums.
Penaloza.
The only long songs were the first two albums on the SAR label, and that was their business tactics. They did that on purpose because they were trying to minimize their investment and maximize the profits. So every time you record a song, you have to pay an arranger to write an arrangement. You have to record the song. You have to mix that song. More studio time, more studio expense. But to extend, to elongate a song, only cost a few extra dollars of studio time. And also at that time, one of the reasons why they didn't want any original songs is because they didn't want to pay any royalties to composers, because at that time there was no diplomatic relations with Cuba, and they wanted me to do versions of Cuban compositions where they didn't have to pay any royalties to any composers, and then they made the songs very long so that they would minimize their studio costs and maximize their profits. And that's the reason why that was done on the SAR label. But outside of that, the songs that I recorded with Saoko and the songs that I recorded on my
Corazon.
own label and the subsequent recordings, they were all like a normal length, around 5, 4, 5 minutes, 6 minutes. But SAR had that thing where they wanted the songs long because they wanted to make more money.
Thank you very much for that. There you are, Minister. That wasn't a silly question. Actually, it was quite a clever question because we got a lot more information than you know w- what we wanted. But that's absolutely brilliant because it's a huge learning curve. And another DJ, Dustin Hogg, he's saying if you had to play a song to someone who had no idea about salsa or Latin music, which track would you play and why? Difficult one.
Wow, I might play Sumbale because Sumbale is just like doesn't have very much of a message. It's just a dance song, and somebody who doesn't speak Spanish and somebody who wouldn't understand the message of the lyrics, it would be meaningless to give them one of the more meaningful songs as an introduction to salsa because they wouldn't understand what it was about. So I think something like Zumbale, where they could feel the swing and the rhythm and enjoy that and appreciate it on that level, that would be probably one of the songs that I would choose.
Awesome, awesome. Okay, so we're gonna play another track. This one is for again for Yeva because she's mentioned that. I hope I haven't missed this track or you haven't played it yet. So no, I haven't. It was again on the playlist. So this is Henry Fiol's La Zuma de Ayer. Here we go.
This is another long one.
Yes.
This song is my wife's favorite song.
Quiero matar un capricho que tengo en
Bring
el
your pajamas,
corazón.
Leche.
Voy a coger un jalao con tremendo vacilón. Búscame una cuchara, una botella y un cajón. A
Henry,
formar
can we get a little bit of this song from you?
y así matar el capricho que tengo en el corazón.
Woo!
Carry on, carry on.
Si soy
Borracho,
Pero la plata que yo me tomo,
la saco.
de mi sudor. Si me pico a veces, pues lo hago por el sol. ¡Huepa!
La Juma de hoy.
You know, there's an interesting anecdote about this song. I don't know if you want me to talk on top of the record or...
Go for it.
Yes.
Huh? Well, when Roberto Torres offered this song to me, when he suggested it, I didn't want to do it because I didn't like the idea of the alcoholism and being drunk, and that's not the kind of message that I wanted to project in a song. And he insisted. He says, "No, this is very commercial, and you got to do it." And well, in order to cooperate with the label, I decided to go along with him and do a version of it. But the version that he showed me was compás segundo with guitars, like country style. And I took the song, and Russell Farnsworth and myself, we took the song and we amplified it. We added this, we added that, we added different choruses to it, and we took the song and we put it into salsa. But at the beginning, I didn't want to do it because I didn't like it. I didn't feel that it was the kind of message I wanted to project. But Roberto Torres knew a lot more than I did.
I remember you dancing this song in the Dominican Republic when you went on tour, and you had the Dominican band there. And one thing about Henry, he's a showman. Not only does he sing, but he puts on a show. He dances. He gets the crowd involved, the band.
Well, you know what that's all about, because I figured if I dance and I move around, it's like a moving target, and I'm less likely to get hit by a tomato from the audience if I keep moving around, you know. A moving target is harder to hit, so that's why I always try to move around as much as I can, you know.
You got good moves, Henry.
You know, some of the young guys, the pretty boys, they can just stand there and they don't have to move around because it's just like, look at me. Look at how pretty I am. So unfortunately, I'm not in that category. So that's another reason why I try to move it around on stage.
No sé de dónde yo vivo.
Ni el nombre mío pongo.
We got Canada in the house now. Canada is in the house.
That's DJ Goody Goody in the house.
Oh, Goody Goody, my man. How are you? Nice to have you with us.
Tony Salsa King Gonzalez in the house.
Hay que notar. Hay cosa más rica.
Carlos Lopez is saying, if you're a pretty boy, you wouldn't know anything about timing or the flavor. Nice one, Carlos.
Más grande.
We got Julie July in the house from Dominican Republic. He's a singer based in Manchester. He said he sang your song today.
Donde yo vivo.
Awesome. What a beautiful track.
Yeah, that's another song that should be used to as an introduction to salsa music for somebody who doesn't know too much about it, because it's like it has a nice swing, and it's you don't have to know too much about the words. It's just about the swing.
It's nice and slow and smooth. Flows.
I like the piano rhythm. Don't. This is the first song that I had my wife listen to from Henry Fiol, and then she fell in love.
You know, it's funny, in Colombia, where I go frequently, they don't call it la huma de ayer. A huma means like a binge, like a drunken binge, right? And but they don't not familiar with that word, so they call it la fuma de ayer. And whenever I play these big concerts in Colombia, they wait until I'm starting with La Huma de Ayer, and everybody lights up their marijuana cigarettes. And there's a big cloud, marijuana cloud, that rises above the crowd because they think it's called La Fuma de Ayer. So that's what happens over there.
You got people dancing also, Henry. We got Yeva dancing in the bed, and Lena dancing in the tub.
Hey.
Awesome.
Cosa más grande.
Tengo yo.
Ay, qué cosa más rica.
Tengo yo.
Qué cabeza más buena.
Tengo yo.
Pero esto está malo. Oye,
The beautiful Jenny Ford is in the house.
pero está camarón.
We got a nice crowd here, Amos.
Yes.
Everyone's here to see Henry.
Yes. Thank you very much, guys. Sending you hugs back from all over the world.
Ay, qué cabeza. Oye,
Henry, you still got it. I hear you. I heard you singing a little bit of the song. You still got it, my man. You are
voy pa' la luna.
prestige.
Well, I don't know about that. I'm a little worried. We'll see what happens on my first show. Coming
You-
back from the COVID.
You're doing this.
I'm
You're
gonna
doing
have
this
to-
sitting down. You're doing this sitting down. Imagine you standing up. Vocalize already, rehearsed. I mean,
I haven't
You're gonna-
done any singing at all. I'm going to have to practice and get my voice in shape. We'll see what happens.
that's the one thing about your voice. Your voice is very unique, and that's why it was so popular. That voice is unique.
Very,
Well,
Yeah,
very
thank you.
mellow and calm and amazing.
Well, you know,
amazing.
if you're interested in talking about that, there's a couple of things that are involved with that. It's, I mean, I don't know if the timbre of my voice is unique. That's not for me to say. But one of the things that I learned listening to the old Cuban singers, which I did do when I first got into this music, I studied the old recordings of the great Cuban soneros. I'm talking about Benny Moré, Abelardo Barroso, Cheo Marchetti, Miguelito Cuní. These were the greats, and I listened to them. And one of the things that I learned from them, even from Celia Cruz, when she first started out with the Sonora Matancera, is economy. That instead of a lot of these salsa singers, they want to squeeze 20 words into a two-bar phrase. Pero mami, mira, yo te voy a cantar para que goce este ritmo sabroso. You know, and what happens is you don't understand what they're saying,
Right.
and the rhythm, you're cramming so much on top of the rhythm that the rhythm underneath you, which is the most is which is beautiful, you're covering it up and you're not letting it shine because you're cramming too much on top of it. So economy is one of the things that I learned, and I use that in all of my songs. Like uh, tengo yo cosa más buena. How much is that? Four notes, you know. Ay, qué cosa más rica. And not, pero
Beautiful.
mira, mami, qué cosa más buena que yo te voy a cantar. I'm not doing that. You see what I'm saying? And then another factor is my Italian blood, because Italians always sing behind the beat. And that's one of the things that the Cuban old time soneros used to do as well. But I have that in my Italian blood. Like an Italian wouldn't sing anything right on the beat. They'll always be slightly rubato, is the musical term. Like they wouldn't go, che bella cosa, Nuyona de sole. They would go, che bella cosa, Nuyona. So I'm exaggerating, but I use that also in my style. So it's a combination of my Italian my Italianness, and also from all of the studies that I did listening to the old Cuban singers and the economy that I learned by studying their style. All of that comes into play. And if my voice has a unique timbre to it, well, that's I couldn't speak on that, but that gives you an idea of where my style is coming from.
Awesome. I've got just a question coming from my brother Dustin Hogg, and he's asking a question. I'll put it on the screen there. He's saying, Henry, are you interested in being part of the official judging panel for the Salsa Song Contest in 2020? Aspiring musicians could use someone with your wisdom and experience in the Latin music industry.
2020. I thought we were in 20.
2022,
I thought we were in
2022,
2021.
22. Sorry, my bad.
Oh, okay. Well, I didn't know anything about song competitions, but it would be an honor and a pleasure to participate in something like that. But I might not be the right person because my interest and my style has always been towards the typical branch of salsa, the
Cuban
more
son, yeah.
traditional branch of salsa that leans more towards the son cubano and the original Cuban style. So I might not be the right person to give a unbiased opinion on in a situation like that.
There you are. Justin, if you want to connect with Henry and have a chat with him and give him more clarification, maybe you can connect and sort it out. A few more shout outs, please, before I pass you on to Cara. To Anya McBride, to Jennifer Ford, to Aziz Margi, I haven't mentioned you before, to Louise, all the way there in Sweden, and to who else is there?
We got Colombia in the house too. We have some people connected all the way from Colombia.
Colombia. We got DJ from Ghana but lives in London now, Michael Giapon. Good evening to you, sir. Thank you very much for tuning in. Absolutely brilliant to have you on board. Cara, let's fire away with you. You've been sat there very patiently and quietly.
I'm enjoying myself. This is wonderful. This is absolutely wonderful. And I apologize for the wind chimes. I would have had to get a ladder to get them down.
No.
Henry, one of the things I love about salsa, as you mentioned, and I do speak Spanish, so I'm lucky that way, is that the messages in so many of the songs are so profound and, full of amor para el prójimo, like love for mankind and justice and rising everyone up together at the same time. And I translate a lot of the songs for my sister because she has to be tortured with my constant listening of salsa. And she's always like, oh, I wish songs in English would have these messages. And I think I may be wrong. You had a label called Corazon, is that right?
Yes.
And your presentation for so long with the black and red and the heart on the lapel, I just feel like you really bring a lot of your heart to your writing, your performing, who you are, and I really appreciate that. What are some of your songs that you feel like the message, the depth of the message to the people is still really salient today? I'm all Spanglish over here. What songs do you think are really have a message that has
Well,
completely?
thank you, Carol, for the kind words. First of all, I should say that one of the things that I do in a lot of my songs, not all of them, but a good percentage of my songs, is that I write in the first person. In other words, I'm not I'm not singing about a character. Oh, this is Fulano, and I write a song about Fulano, or I write a song about this one or that one. I'm writing in the first person, and most of my songs are opening my heart and telling you how I feel inside my heart in the first person. Okay, and that's something that's a little bit unusual because a lot of the salsa singers don't do that. Because when you do that, what you're doing is that you're making yourself very vulnerable. You're opening up your heart and you're exposing your true feelings to an audience, and you could get accepted, you could get rejected, but it's a big risk, and a lot of composers are not willing to take that risk. Okay, so that's one of the things that distinguishes my writing from some of the other composers. I favor the first person in my songs. And then, as far as the other part of your question, most of my songs with the message fly above 99% of the listeners' heads, and they go unnoticed. And these were songs that never clicked. These are the unknown songs that are inside the albums, but they weren't like the hits because most of the listeners are not looking for. You might be an exception, but most of the listeners are not interested in a message. They're looking for something easy that they can dance to, or something that sounds good. They can open up a can of beer or have a shot of rum and lean back and enjoy themselves. They're not looking for spiritual food or food for thought in salsa music. Okay, but there is an element that does look for that kind of thing in the songs, and there's a lot of songs that I wrote that have a lot of messages, but these are the unknown songs. These are my favorites, and these are the songs that most of the people don't know anything about. For example, El Secreto is a song that expresses a lot of philosophy about life. El Secreto. Then there's La Canción del Delfín, which is very poetic on one of my most recent albums. There's Bonito Amanecer. There's like the songs that have like a more of a political message, like Even Ahora Me Da Pena or Picoteando Por Ahí. And there's a lot of them that I can't think of right now. Perdido en la Ciudad is another one. El Corazón del Jugador, the gambler's heart. These are all songs with a spiritual message, but Ciudadano del Mundo is another one.
The one that talks about suerte.
Huh?
The one that talks about suerte, lucky,
Mala Suerte. Well,
mala
that's like,
suerte.
yeah, that's like a fun song. I wouldn't say that that's a very profound message there. But anyway, unfortunately, you're in the minority, Carol, because most of the listeners are not interested in that. That's why I try to find that balance. I try to give them some dance songs, some happy songs, funny songs, and this and that, and I slip in a couple of spiritual songs, and I slip in a couple of political messages now and then. But that's the way it goes.
Well, I think you're in great company here with all of these people who are present. Sorry for the bells, it's getting windy. Here at Co-Beat Party, because so many of us love to go into that depth and that profound level of, wow, listen to what this song is saying. These lyrics have got me in tears over here. I mean, so many of us in the chat were listening. We're like, did you hear that phrase? Did you hear that message? That's amazing. So I know that many of us really, really appreciate it. And thank you so much.
Well, thank you very much, Carol. Another thing that I should mention, okay, if you really want to understand where I'm coming from, okay, in my music, this is that what I'm going to say now is very important because it's very different from most of the other salsa singers or salsa composers, and that is that I'm not interested in improvisation, and I'm not interested in spontaneity. I'm not interested in that. I'm not interested in the first idea that comes into my mind. I'm interested in the best idea that comes into my mind. And the best idea is very often not the first idea. So in other words, when I'm writing my songs and preparing for a recording, I prepare the way an oil painter prepares for a painting. I do preliminary sketches. I try this, I try that. Let me see how this sounds. Nah, I think I'm going to wipe that out and I'll try something else. So I try hit and miss and I keep looking for the best idea. And when I put it through a strainer and I get my best ideas, you know, that's what I use on the recording. I'm not in a recording studio taking a shot of rum or getting high and just spitting out the first thing that comes to my mind. Okay, that's not my approach. My approach to my music is the way an oil painter paints a painting, because that's my training. I was trained as an oil painter. So I use that approach because if you think about it, the greatest works of art in the history of the world are not results of improvisation. Okay, improvising is beautiful and spontaneous in the moment. Yeah, that's wonderful. Okay, but even jazz depended on the technology of the recording. If there weren't any technology to record these improvised um, music or phrases, then nobody would know about them unless you were sitting right there and you were hearing them live. So that's dependent on the recording technology. That's what makes jazz viable. If it wasn't for phonograph records, you couldn't do jazz. It would be very limited. But if you think about the greatest artistic achievements in the world, the greatest books, the greatest art, the paintings, the statues, the sculptures, all of this is not spontaneity. This is not improvised. These are people that really took their time and they struggled with it with a lot of discipline and they kept going at it until they found the best ideas and that's what they use. You know, another thing, I don't like to sound like I'm well. The truth is that my Italian blood makes me different from the average Latino because one of the Latino is more spontaneous by nature. They live in the moment. They do things spontaneously, and that's very beautiful. Okay, but I come from an Italian tradition. Okay, and one of the things that distinguishes the Italian artist from the other artists in the history of the world is that the Italian artist is able to sustain his concentration on an artistic project at an intense, feverish pitch for long periods of time until they come out with perfection or as close to perfect as they can get it. I'm talking about Michelangelo, the Sistine Chapel. I'm talking about the sculptures. I'm talking about the great architecture. All of this. This is not improvised. Okay? This
No.
is all thought out and planned out, and it's not about the first idea. It's about the best idea.
Henry, what a
Wow.
powerful statement that is. Absolutely beautiful. I think it's so educational. There's so many young people out there listening as well. And take a page out of Henry's book and, aim for the best, and that's the main thing. We're going to talk about your book now. It's here. Let me put the big screen up so I can get on there. I'll hide behind it. Okay, this is the short end of the stick. Guys, this is Henry Fiol's new book, and it's out on Amazon. I put a link there at the bottom, so if you want to get yourself a copy, get it because it's an absolutely fantastic read. I'm reading it. Emilio's reading it. Nisha's going to get a copy as well, so it's worth having. Just want to ask Henry a question. When you started writing this book, can you tell me, on also the audience, what gave you the idea? I know you've mentioned that you love horses and racetracks and so on, but what gave you the idea to write a book about uh, horses, racetrack, and the disability of this young boy, Joey?
Well, first of all, the actual horse racing part of the story is only in the last third of the book. That's when the setting shifts from the neighborhood to the racetrack in the last third. But the first two-thirds of the story is on the streets of Italian Harlem in New York City in the 50s and 60s. And that's my era. I grew up in the 50s and the 60s. I'm a child of the 50s, and I'm a teenager of the early 60s. And part of what I wanted to do in this story was is to is to give the flavor of that era and explain what it was like to grow up on the streets of New York at that time in history, the street games that we used to play, and then this. Well, I don't want to give too much away about the story, but the gangs and the juvenile delinquency and the violence was very prevalent in New York around that time. The gang, the epitome of, or the zenith of juvenile gangs in New York was, I would say, between 1957 and 1962, around that. And that's the time when, that's the time frame of this story. And I wanted to, I wanted to describe that era. And one of the things that I mentioned in another interview that I did recently was that, for example, this story is the chronicle of a life of a handicapped boy. It takes you through his childhood, his adolescence, and it takes you through his young adulthood. It even takes you through puberty when he gets hit with puberty. All right. And the reason why I take you through all these different stages in the person's life is because in order to truly understand a person, we are the sum total of our experiences. What we experience as children, as adolescents, as young adults, these are the experiences that make us who we are. They mold our personality. For example, okay, uh, the story of Jesus is considered by many, and it's been called the greatest story ever told. And I think it is one of the great stories without a doubt. But if you really think about it, the story of Jesus is a little bit flawed. There's a flaw in that story. And what is the flaw? The flaw is that all of a sudden, out of nowhere, this person comes on the scene at age 30, and with the exception of one little story about when he gets lost at age 12 and they find him in the temple, with the exception of that one little story, we know absolutely nothing about Jesus's childhood, his adolescence, his young adulthood, his teenage years, his when he was in his 20s, we know zero. All we know is that this spiritual, beautiful man came on the scene at age 30 and changed the world. But how much more great would this story be if we would have found out the whole story? If we would know what Jesus was like as a child, as a teenager, as an adolescent. And that's why I take you through the childhood of Joey, the main character in my story, because I want you to know everything that he feels as a rejected, handicapped boy. He's called Gimp. That's his nickname. They don't even call him Joey. They call him what he would love to be called Joey, but they don't call him Joey. His nickname from the first day he moves in the neighborhood is Gimp. That's a derogatory term for somebody who is lame, somebody who limps, and that's his nickname. Everybody calls him that, and he hates it. And he's rejected all through his childhood, his teenage years. He goes through through his first dance. Nobody wants to dance with him because he's a short little crippled boy. Okay, this makes Joey who he is. So when we get to the drama at the end of the book, and the drama accelerates, and we start to really get into the drama, you already know who Joey is, because I took you all through his life. All right, so that's why it's a little long, and that's why it might be a little. You have to have patience, and you have to be willing to go all the way with this story. But if you're willing to go all the way with it, I think that at the end, you're going to get something out of it. At least I hope so.
No, no, absolutely. It's an amazing read. I know that I'm reading it and Emilio's reading it. He says he's got it in his office. So, guys, get a copy of this, and when you do, put it on the wall as well, and let us know you've got it, because it's a great way to let people know what you're reading, and also Henry will know that you got a copy as well. So it's absolutely brilliant. So we're going to put a link down there at the bottom on Amazon again. So if you want to follow it, it's already there at the bottom. But in the meantime, let's have some music. And I've got the track Buscando la Melodía queued up. Are you okay with that?
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
That's an interesting story behind this one too.
So
If
let's
you want me
have
to
that as
tell you
well.
real quick.
Yeah, the artwork, and it's from your Corazon album.
Yeah, but this is a song that was recorded by Benny Moré, and there was no coro. In a salsa song, the coro and the coro soneo is the most important part of the song. But this particular song had no coro. So I always loved the song, and what I did is that I put a coro and I made it into more of a salsa song, but it's originally recorded by Benny Moré.
Thank you for that. Here we go.
Allá por el horizonte la silueta asoma detrás de las nubes. El sol con sus rayos de oro convierte en primores toda la campiña. El cielo se va tornando de raros multicolores. Mirando tanta belleza, cantando a solas, se inspira el poeta, soñando con la sinfonía de una melodía que no está completa, y pasa toda su vida
Ricardo and Linel is in the house.
buscado en la serranía.
Hey,
¿Dónde estará la melodía? He buscado en la lejanía. ¿Dónde estará la melodía? He buscado en el alma mía. ¿Dónde estará la melodía? He buscado bien por dentro. ¿Dónde estará la melodía? He buscado y no la encuentro.
Is that Ray Santiago on the piano?
Yeah, that's great.
And we have a mutual friend, Henry, there on the trumpet. My good friend, rest in peace, Mr. Hector Bomberito Zarzuela.
Oh, Bomberito, yeah. What
Oh,
a
man.
loss.
What a
Beautiful,
loss.
beautiful person. A great guy and a great talent, you know.
Oh,
You
he
know, when
was,
the song ends, I'd like to make a little comment about this. I don't want to interrupt.
yes.
Hasta en el fondo del río. ¿Dónde estará la
Melodía.
y me he quedado vacío? ¿Dónde estará la melodía? Me he quedado vacío. ¿Dónde estará la melodía? No está en la serranía.
and a very good evening to Melissa McAllister
No está
in Trinidad and Tobago.
¿Dónde estará la melodía? No está en el alma mía. ¿Dónde estará la melodía? Quizás en la tumba fría. ¿Dónde estará la melodía? Quizás en la tumba fría. La melodía, la melodía, la melodía. La melodía, 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 la melodía. ¿Dónde está la melodía? ¿Dónde está la melodía? Pero ¿dónde estará la melodía? Ay, ¿dónde estará? ¿Dónde estará la melodía?
Wow,
Wow.
wow, wow.
Well,
What a great track.
thank you. What I like to say about that is this song gives you an example. A lot of my songs have different layers of meaning. You could look at this song on the surface. It's about, oh, a guy, he's playing his guitar and he's looking for a melody and he can't find it. But it's a lot more than that. What I'm talking about in this song is the search that each one of us has in our lives for happiness and for fulfillment. We're looking for la melodia is symbolic for happiness and fulfillment. Everybody is looking for that. And sometimes we find it, sometimes it doesn't last very long, sometimes it's a big disappointment. Some of us struggle our whole lives looking for that happiness and that feeling of being fulfilled as a person, and we never find it, we never get there. It's a song about yearning. It's the yearning for fulfillment and happiness. And people have told me, "Oh, you know, a lot of your songs, Henry, are very sad and are melancholic, or they're. Why is that? Well, why? Because I'm an artist, and any artist, any painter, for example, or any writer or any sculptor, this is not about uh, uh, only happy days and sunny days. That's not life. Life is sunny days and rainy days. There's happiness and there's sadness. That's all part of life. And as an
Absolutely.
artist, if your duty as an artist is to reflect the truths of life. I'm sorry. I really respect, for example, somebody like Celia Cruz. I love her. She's one of the all-time greats. But I've heard her say, "Oh, I would never sing a sad song. I only sing happy songs." Well, I can't do something like that. I'm an artist. How you going to only sing happy songs? I'm only going to leave my house on the sunny days. What about the rainy days? I'm going to stay home and I'm going to hide. That's not life. Life is about reality. Sunny days, happiness, sadness, everything is all hooked up together. Good and bad, like yin and yang, it's all wrapped up into one. So as an artist, you have to reflect the truth of life. So yes, I have recorded a lot of sad songs. And the reason why I do it is because I'm trying to be for real as an artist. I'm not just going to give you the happy, fluffy cotton candy stuff. That's not what I'm all about. I'm going to give you the real stuff, the real deal. And sometimes it's happy, and sometimes it's sad.
Dustin is saying, Henry Fiol, I'd vote for you, my friend, if you run for president.
Well, that means I'm talking too much. Okay, I'm going to
No,
cut
no,
it
no, no, no.
short.
I think that's a massive compliment for you, sir. Absolutely. And now back to DJ Leche.
Yeah, so we were talking about during that song about rest in peace, man. This guy, I've known this guy for a couple of years only. His last couple of years, Hector Bomberito Zarzuela, man, he is such an amazing guy. I play I played the bass drum in a band, in a folkloric band, and he played in a Bolivian folkloric band, and he played the trumpet. And we've done parades on in Manhattan on Fifth Ave. We've done the Hispanic parade. We've done parades in Jersey, and he's always been there. And what an amazing guy! Every single time that I got to spend time with him, and we talked about his Fania days, and you know. What an amazing guy and such a loss, man. And just hearing him on that track, Buscando una Melodía con Rey Santiago, man, what it just reminded me of him. And you said he had some words about Bomberito.
Well, Bomberito was a great guy, an excellent musician. He was always very in demand. It's very hard for me to get him. He did that recording with me, and he worked with me for a while. Not too long because he's always moving around. He plays with the creme de la creme. He was one of the very best. And whenever I had the opportunity to bring him into the group and use him on a recording or to fill in on a live show, it was always my pleasure. He's a real gentleman and a great musician. And it's a big loss when we lost Bomberito.
Yes, completely agree. It's a great album. This album, talking about this album again, Corazon, is when you put out your label, Corazon. The artwork in this album is you holding up a ace card.
Oh, okay. You're talking about Corazon. I thought you were talking about the next one. Okay, I got you. Now
This
the next one is Colorado y Negro, and that's an interesting story behind that. But anyway, yeah, I chose Corazon as the name for my label because the word corazón has different meanings. You know, it means the essence of something, the heart of something. The emotion. And I was into the tarot at that time. I was learning about the symbolic meaning of the tarot, and the Ace of Hearts is very symbolic, and that's why I used it as on that album cover, and because I was very involved in the occult meanings behind the Ace of Hearts, and also on another level, Corazon on the street when I was a kid. Corazón means you have heart, means that you had courage. So it means love, and it means so many things. It means the essence of something. It means love. It means this. It means that. But it also means courage. Like in the
Yes.
gang days, they say, if you have, do you have heart or you don't have heart? Means do you have the courage or you don't have the courage, right? So, and what I was doing at that time with my own label, I was throwing the dice. It was life or death. I had my entire life savings involved in that label. I was like rolling the dice, life or death. So that's why I chose the word corazon.
And it worked out from 1983, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, so many albums up to 2012.
Well, no,
Ciudadano del
no. I
Mundo.
only did I only did 3 albums on the Corazon label. Yeah. The reason why I stopped was because it's very difficult for an artist or even somebody like myself, my personality to do promotion. You know, there's 3 aspects to this business: production, production, distribution, and promotion. Okay, I could handle the production part. I was able to produce my albums, and the distribution part was very difficult because if you can't get the record out there under the nose of the record buyers, tough titties for you. You're not going to sell any records. So that's very
Right.
important. That was a big struggle. But the third part, promotion, is very difficult because you have to be able to invest a lot of money, and you have to be able to spread yourself very thin, and you have to have people working for you and all of this. And I wasn't able to do that. So finally, I decided to, stop with the Corazon Records. And but I did do 3 albums on my own label, and it helped me to keep the ball rolling and in the mid '80s when salsa was really down and merengue was really destroying salsa really bad. Everything was merengue, 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 and with the Corazon label and the red and black uniforms and all of that other shtick that I was doing at that time, it helped me survive. So was able to survive the middle '80s, the mid, the middle part of the '80s, and then when things got a little better, I started to continue recording, but for other labels.
Yes.
Nisha.
Please tell us something about your son. He's a pianist and a drummer,
My
Orlando.
son,
Orlando.
yeah, well, my son is like I told you before, he's blind from birth, but God takes one thing away, and sometimes they give you something else. And he's extremely talented. He's an extremely gifted musician. His ear is so sharp that he's beyond uh, perfect pitch. He has what they call absolute pitch. You can give him, you say, give me an A flat, and he'll go, da, and you'll check on the piano, and it's an A flat. I mean, he's beyond perfect pitch. And sometimes I don't like to have him in the studio with me because his ear is so finely tuned that if I sing a note that's a little bit sharp or a little bit flat, he goes crazy. Oh no, you got to do that over, and you can't leave that like that. And but he's a very talented musician. He's a pianist, and he's also a excellent percussionist. When he was 15 or 16 years old, he won a very prestigious award in the United States called the Itzhak Perlman Award for the best musician in all of the United States with a disability, and that was his 10 minutes of fame. He was all over the TV, and he did concerts in Washington, and it was a beautiful experience. He played classical piano, Rachmaninoff, and then after that he played in my group. He was my right hand man playing piano in my group. He did the arrangements together with me for many years. Then he moved to Philadelphia. Now he's living in North Carolina, and he just recently finished his doctorate in music and musicology from the University of Pennsylvania, Ivy League college, one of the best institutions of learning in the United States. So here's somebody who's blind from birth, who's accomplished so much, and I'm very, very proud of him. And what can I tell you? It's that's the way the Tootsie rolls, right?
He inherited a lot of the artistic from you.
Well, I don't know about that, but one of the saddest things, people don't think about it, but one of the most difficult things for me as a person was being the father of a blind child, because blind children, they have to be entertained. You have to entertain them because they can't just play on their own. We just take that for granted. We don't even think about that. But a child who's blind needs to be stimulated. You have to sing to them. You have to play music for them. I started him off playing conga when he was like 3 years old, playing bongos and singing songs with him and trying to amuse him, because it's not like you leave them alone and they're watching television and they're playing with their friends and they're outside and they're doing this and they're doing that. Blind children, they're very limited. It's the duty of a parent to try and keep them entertained and feeling happy and good about themselves. So that's something that I went through as a parent, and I think it paid off, because all of the music that I did with him when he was a baby and he was a little boy, all of the music that I did with him, at the end, I think it paid off, because he became a tremendous musician. He really did.
You did a great job, Henry. Congrats on being a great dad.
Yes,
Well,
you should be
thank
very
you.
proud of. You must be a very proud man. Thank you for sharing that part of your life. It's really great. I'm going to play another track, and then we'll come back to you, and we're going to be talking about future projects and concerts that are coming up. So let's see if we can catch you on the stage somewhere. I know that you're coming to the UK in January next year, so looking forward to that. But here's Mala Suerte, and so what a beautiful track this is. Enjoy, guys.
¿Qué he hecho yo para tener tan mala suerte? ¿Qué he hecho yo para sufrir tanto dolor? Triste dolor de vivir siempre angustiado, de vivir siempre frustrado, buscando algún remedio para mi pobre situación. ¡Qué mala suerte! No tiene comparación. Voy a contarle.
Henry's coming to play in Bristol next year.
Señor,
Details to follow.
preste mucha atención. Esto sí es algo serio. Esto es algo súper malo. Pero esta camarón, lo que me sucedió. Juego el 701. Sale 702, juego el 421, sale el 422, mala suerte.
Mala suerte.
Oh man, I love the piano melody.
Yo seguí con la bolita y mi número salió y me dijo el politero, el banquero se murió. Mala suerte. pegué con los caballos, la tripleta me salió. Me fui a cobrar los chavos y el ticket se me perdió. Mala suerte. Mi caballo 100-1 en la curva se pasó, corriendo con un cohete y el chongo se me cayó. Mala suerte.
Salao, salao, siempre salao.
Dilo, Choco.
Salao, salao, siempre salao. Salao, salao, siempre salao. Salao, salao, siempre salao.
Desde el día que nací he sido más salao que un bacalao.
Salao, salao, siempre salao.
Tantos espiritistas, pero ninguno me ha despojado.
Salao, salao, siempre salao.
Mi número salió al revés, pero no lo jugué combinado.
Salao, salao, siempre salao.
Esta mala suerte mía ya me tiene un lado hinchado.
Dale, Choco.
Siempre salao.
Tantos años con los caballos y yo sigo pelado y todo chavao.
Salao, salao, siempre salao.
Salao, 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 salao. Agárrame más.
Come on, let's hear you sing, Emilio.
Salao, salao. Siempre salao.
Yo me fui para el dentista y volví tomellao y pochonao.
Salao, salao. Siempre salao.
Ay, esta mala suerte mía ya me tiene cansado, bien cansado.
Siempre salao. Siempre salao. Siempre salao. Siempre salao.
Siempre pelao,
Siempre salao.
oye pana, siempre chavao.
Siempre salao.
Yo no sé lo que a mí me pasa.
Siempre salao.
Todo me sale dañado.
Siempre salao.
Mi número sale al revés.
Siempre salao.
Cuando yo no juego combinado.
Siempre salao.
Salao, 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 salao.
Siempre salao.
Soy un pescado.
Siempre salao.
Ya cansado de mi suerte, liquidarme quise yo. Tan mala que era mi suerte, ni la bala me salió. Mala suerte.
Wow.
Cult. Oh man, such a
Oh
hit.
man. And a massive shout out to my brother Corwin Paul Jackson and to Ricardo Linnell and to Yeva for being the radio station World Salsa Radio.com DJs. And they're saying that Henry Fiol is a huge supporter of the radio station that I'm part of, founded by Philip Martinez and Orlando Felix, WorldSalsaRadio.com. There we are. So there we are. People are sending messages that way. So Nisha, Any questions, please?
Um, I mentioned to you earlier, I'll come to the question later, but since I mentioned to you earlier that I relate a lot with you, I relate more and more as I listen to you. Um, my son as well. One day I came home crying because I got to know I can never feel the pain that you felt, in your when you were raising your child. But I felt something similar because one day I came home crying because I got to know that my son has a profound hearing loss in the right ear. And I had gone to get his test done, so I found that he had dyslexia, dysgraphia, dyscalculia, but he had super intellectual IQ. And his piano teacher, she couldn't believe it that he couldn't hear, because she always said that he has a great ear for music. So, and then he grew up and to he chose to do bachelor's in management studies, which he shouldn't have been doing, but he said, I want to do that. He completed that. He went to Scotland and he completed his master's in human resources. And yeah, so he's a young man now, and I relate so much with you, and I feel, and I'm trying to understand that the pain that you may have gone through. And I want to read that book even more, because I'm sure that there there there'll be so much in that book which uh, which will, just talking to you has touched me, and I'm sure so many others today, that reading the book would make a hell of a difference. I'm sure about it. And I will, after I've read the book, I'm going to get in touch with you, and I'm going to tell you how I feel after that.
Well, thank you very, thank you very much, Nisa. Nisa, I hope your son is doing well, and maybe he's hearing with a hearing aid. Maybe does he
No,
use
he
the?
cannot. He cannot use a hearing aid, since he has a profound hearing loss.
Oh,
That was what was told to me. But he can hear in the other ear. So,
oh, okay.
yeah.
Well, I wish you all the best, and I wish him all the best. And I hope the language is not too difficult for you in the book, because this is written in the street language of New York City, and somebody like you from Mumbai, I hope you don't find it too difficult. But if you can get through it, I hope it's meaningful for you.
Well, in fact, I would love to buy more books and share them. I mean, I think I would want to gift them to my friends who would, because there's so many of my friends who are, like, as Anya said, that she's teaching students with learning disability, and she would like to buy. And I have so many friends who teach as well, young children with special needs. So I'm going to do that as well. But I would like to ask you one question, that with so many years of experience, and you are so very clear about your ideas on everything, what would be your suggestion, or what would be uh, um, your experience that you would share with different bands or different musicians who want to form a group? Sometimes after a year or two they split up for whatever reasons. So uh, and you are a person who likes to do his homework on everything, as you mentioned. So can any homework be done for a musician before forming a band?
I feel sorry for the young musicians nowadays, because the internet has really destroyed the music business. Years ago, before the internet became so popular, you could sell records. You had record companies that would look for talent. They would sign up an artist. They would promote the young artist, get their name out there. They would put them on tour, and nobody's going to invest in a young artist anymore, because uh, there's no record sales anymore. The internet destroyed all of that. So I feel very sorry for the young musicians nowadays. The only advice that I would give them is to try and find ways of using the internet as best as you can to promote yourself, because a record company is not going to do that for you anymore, like in the old days. So it's very difficult, and you have to have a lot of discipline, and you have to have a lot of perseverance. You got to go all the way. You got to keep on keeping on. You can't run out of gas. You got to keep punching. And that's my advice to a young musician. Have the discipline, learn as much as you can about your craft, about music, and don't be like me. I'm an ear musician. If you can learn how to read and write music and uh, do your best to learn all of that, because the more knowledge you have, the easier it's going to be for you. It's a very long and hard struggle for a young musician, especially nowadays.
Yes, and I have another question for you, which is from Carlos Lopez. He's saying, um, what is your input about the lost of roots for new Latino generations, and what do you think about the future of old school salsa music?
Well, thank you for the question, Carlos. Unfortunately, um, most of the young salsa musicians didn't invest their time to study the roots of this music. They think that salsa started with Fania, okay? They think that salsa is Willie Colon and Hector Lavoe, and they didn't look before that. But the truth is that this music that we call salsa nowadays, it goes all the way back to Cuba from 1939, 1940, when Arsenio Rodriguez first expanded his sung group and made it with two trumpets and a piano and a conga, and little by little that became what we now know as salsa music. But really, it goes way back. This genre of music is about uh, 8 decades old already at this point. So unfortunately, the younger generation, especially the salsa romantica musicians and singers, uh, they didn't really invest the time to understand and study the structure of this music, the way it's structured, the roots of it, and how to make a real swinging salsa song. You know, they didn't invest the time to study all of that, and unfortunately, one by one, all of the older generation of salseros, uh, we're losing them one by one. We just lost Roberto Roen, I think last week or a couple of weeks ago. Larry Harlow, Johnny Pacheco, Tito Rojas, Cano Estremera, one by one. We're losing them. And what that means, looking towards the future, is that the younger generation is not going to be able to fill those voids that these artists have left. So I don't think there's too much of a future for salsa music and the old school salsa dura. I think eventually that's going to disappear. It's just like jazz, you know. Every genre of music has its heyday, its boom years. Like jazz was big in the 40s and 50s and the 60s. That's the prime years for jazz. And jazz continued after that, but and oh yes, there's jazz fans and there's jazz clubs and jazz festivals, but it's never going to be at the same level of popularity like it was at the time of Dizzy Gillespie, Miles Davis, and John Coltrane, and all of those great artists. That's an era that's gone. And the same thing is true with salsa. Salsa is going to continue, and there's going to be a lot of fusion. Salsa is going to be uh, mixed with rap. It's going to be mixed with urban music. It's going to be mixed with bachata. It's going to be mixed with this and with that. And it's going to become diluted. Like when you add water and you dilute something, it's going to become diluted. And there's still going to be salsa in the future, in the near future. I don't see it's going to stop right away, but it's never going to go back to the level of popularity in the boom of the salsa, which was basically the decade of the 70s. So it's going to continue, but it's going to lose, va a perder sabor. It's going to lose the flavor, and it's going to lose a lot.
Absolutely. Thank you very much for that explanation. Just going to move forward to now your concerts. Have you got any upcoming concerts coming up on the USA side, and when are you coming to the UK? And guys, if you're coming to UK, flying to Manchester, and you can crash with me, and then we'll drive down to Bristol as a group.
Well, I've been really staying home and trying to stay safe during the
Absolutely.
whole pandemic with the COVID. I've been getting a lot of offers, and I've been turning them down. But I did accept a show for December 11th in Miami, and I did accept a show for January 9th in Bristol, England, for the Salsa Congress. And who knows? I'm just trying to feel my way, trying to see how I feel getting back on stage, and I'm taking one step at a time. I don't want to bite off more than I can chew. So as it stands now, the only thing I have on my agenda is December 11th in Miami and January in England, in Bristol.
Thank you very much for sharing that. So, guys, if the dates come up and you want to come over to Manchester instead of London, please do so, and then we can all drive down together and have a great time at Henry's concert. Um, the time now is 2 hours and 7 minutes into the program. It's been absolutely amazing. Anybody got any more questions? Nisha, have you got any more questions? Fire away. If you have anything you want to ask,
We'll want him back soon.
yes, I would say the same thing. Cara, can you hear us?
I had to unmute. I couldn't
Okay,
find my
because of the
mute button.
chimes.
Yes, I'm just really grateful, Henry, that you've taken the time to be with us today, that you've so passionately shared and so eloquently shared some of the things on your mind, and had so much patience with our questions. So many of these questions I know you've heard just so many times. And I guess I would love to know if there is something that you would like us to know today that we haven't asked, that we haven't thought to go under certain layers, or anything. Is there something that you'd like us to know?
Well, I'll tell you the truth. As the older I get, the more I realize that my story. How can I explain it to you? Recently, a TV show was done about about me called on a TV show called Italics. It's an Italian American TV show, and if you go to YouTube and you put Henry Fiol Nectarine, okay, you're going to see this half an hour TV show. And it was very well done. And I explained a lot of my cultural conflict that has always been a problem for me, being half Puerto Rican and half Italian. So if you go to YouTube, put Henry Fiol Nectarine, you're going to find out who I really am, because the truth is that in my heart I feel, as I've become an older person, that I'm really basically more Italian than I am Puerto Rican. When I was a teenager, I got involved with Latin music, and I became a singer in salsa music, and I dedicated uh, 50 years of my life to my Puerto Rican culture and my Latino side, my Latino culture. But in my heart of hearts, I really feel that I'm more of an Italian person, and a lot of my values as a human being come from my Italian side and from my grandfather. who was a big influence on me, who lived across the street, and I grew up in his house. So, not to tell you too much, if you want to go to YouTube, Henry Fiol Nectarine, you're going to see it. And the reason why I say nectarine is because as I became older, I realized that I'm really not a peach and I'm not a plum. I'm a nectarine. I'm a combination. Okay, that's who I am, and
Wow.
so that's just the way the Tootsie rolls. I'm a nectarine, and I'm happy to be a nectarine, and I hope all of you will understand me a little better if you see that TV show and you learn a little bit about my family, my Italian side, and it's going to give you uh, a different aspect of of uh, of of Henry Fiol, if you know. But before I go, I'd like to first of all say thank you to not only to all of you for the opportunity to be with you this afternoon, but I can't leave without saying that you're talking about me as an artist, a musical artist, and I just have to give the credit to all of these musicians who have worked with me over the years that put so much of their talent into these recordings and all of these live shows and live performances. It's not one person that's doing this. I'm doing this with the help of hundreds of super talented musicians who have given me their time and their talent all through the years on record and live performances. And I have to give them a lot of credit because I wouldn't be here talking to you if it wasn't for them. Okay. So thank you to all the musicians who are listening to me. I'm very grateful for everything that you gave to me over the years, and God bless you.
Wow, such an amazing testimonial and so humble and so emotional. Thank you so very much. I'm going to play a track first and then we'll come and say goodbyes to you. Um, and we'll thank you also then. So, this is the last track which DJ Leche has chosen. It's something I learned in the private chat from him as well. So, let me play that, then he can explain a little bit why as to that track is played at the last as the last track. I was a bit surprised. I didn't know. So thank you very much for that. This is Henry Fields' La Última Rumba. Guys, share the love.
Me gusta oírlo, puedo sonar en mi barrio. Es que me gusta oírlo, puedo sonar en mi barrio. Gente alegre, celebrando, gente alegre, vacilando, gente alegre, desfomando, con el golpe del tambor. Esta es la última rumba.
Esta es la última rumba. Thank you, Henry.
Yo me fui para el parque en busca de una rumba. Anduve todo el parque y no
Julia July saying, muchas gracias, Henry. Dios te bendiga.
esta es la última rumba. Yo me fui para la playa en busca de una rumba. Anduve toda la playa y yo no vi ni una tumba. Esta es la última rumba. Esta es la última rumba. Baila por si te da la gana. Canta por si te da la gana. Esta es la última rumba. Coro, mi pana. Esta es la última rumba. Si no muero hoy, me muero mañana. Esta es la última rumba. Vamos con mi pana. Esta es la última. Si no muero hoy, me muero mañana. Esta es la última rumba. Que no baila, que no goza. Esta es la última rumba. Es la cosa más hermosa. La última rumba. 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 Quiero bailar. La última rumba. Quiero gozar. La última rumba. Es la cosa. La última rumba. Más sabrosa. La última rumba. Es la cosa. La última rumba. Más hermosa. La última rumba. Gente alegre compartiendo. Feliz, 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 vela. Feliz, 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 vela. Feliz, 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 vela. Feliz, 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 vela.
Eso, that's the baile, that's the dance right there.
Yeah.
It's another masterpiece.
Absolutely beautiful.
Well, my approach to playing drums is similar to my approach to singing. The idea is economy. A lot of drummers, when it's time to take a solo, they want to show how fast, how much chops they have. They want, and that's not the idea. The idea is to talk, to talk with the drum, not to make a lot of noise. I remember I heard an interview one time with one of the great percussionists, Orestes Vilato, and he said something that I really liked. I'll never forget. He says, the idea is, oh, I have to say it in Spanish. Can I say it in Spanish?
Sí,
Claro
sí.
que sí.
The idea no es tocar mucho y decir poco. La idea es tocar poco y decir mucho.
I like that.
Nice, nice. Indeed. Just a last word from Frank Mauricio Donis Quintero. He's saying, Maestro, I saw your show around 10 years ago in Sevilla, Spain, with Lalo Rodriguez and Miles Peña, and it was the best live show I have ever seen in my life. A big hug from London.
Wow, that's a big compliment. Thank you very much. Yeah, I think I remember that show. Yeah, there's a very excellent Cuban tres player from Madrid that when I go to Spain, he always works with me. His name is Pompa, and he was with me on that show, and that was a nice show. Yeah.
Yes. So thank you very much for your comment there, Mauricio. Last words from Leche. Then we're gonna close the night. Thank you.
Well, Henry, thank you for sharing with us the masterpieces. We spoke a little bit earlier about salsa singers that leave masterpieces that will live on forever in the music world, and some pieces that just live for the moment and then die out. You're one of the artists that your songs will last for a lifetime. I know my kids are gonna listen to it. Their kids, someone eventually is gonna listen to a Henry Fiol track, and it's gonna inspire them to play a piano, conga, to sing, to to uh, to become something that they don't know that they have inside. And this book is also going to inspire a lot of people with a lot of hope. um, I also grew up in a family with a disabled sibling, so this book of hope, this next chapter of your life, is it's another blessing that you're giving us from your corazón, just like you named your record label Corazón. You always give the corazón to your fans, to your family, and to all of us that are so blessed to be a part of your life, and to get to pass you during this passage in life. And I just want to say thank you, my friend Henry. We'll keep in touch and hope to hear from you soon.
Wow. What can I say? Thanks a lot, Emilio, for really understanding a lot of stuff. You know, there's a lot of people that don't get it when it comes to me. They haven't really understood where I've been coming from all through these years. I really appreciate your support and the kind words. Thank you very much. And I just like to say that I don't know if my music is going to live forever the way you say, but
It will.
what's
It
really
will.
important, I should say that from my own perspective, the most important thing that I have done so far in my life artistically uh, is this book. This book is more important than any of the songs, any of the recordings, or anything like that. That's why I would really hope that my fans or people who are not my fans or just anybody who reads in English will make the effort and take the time to go through this story because I think it's something important. It's the most important thing that I've done so far. So that's all I have to say about it.
Cara, last few words from you. Thank you.
You guys, it's gotten so loud here. I'm sitting under a gorgeous oak tree, and right now it's just raining acorns everywhere, and they're bouncing. Thank you so much, so much, so much, Henry. I agree with Emilio, with DJ Leche. Your music is timeless, and it's going to continue touching generations. That's going to bring them to your book, your message, your words, and your intentions will ripple out for a long time, and I appreciate that. Thank you.
Oh, thank you, Carol, man. Thanks for the kind words.
And the lovely Nisha.
As I mentioned, thank you, dear Henry, for touching our hearts with your music and your words. I can't wait to read your book now. I'd also like to thank DJ Leche. I'm so glad that you're not playing music because it was so nice to listen to you today, and it added a lot to our evening today, really.
Thank
And
you, Nisha.
yes, thank you,
You,
dear
you
Cara.
know, I forgot to mention, Nisha, you know, that my son was very interested. He's a big fan of Indian music. In fact, he lived in India for a year in Pune. My
I am
son.
from Pune. I'm from
Well,
Pune.
well, my son lived in Pune for a year, and he studied tabla
Wow.
for many years, and he knows a lot about Indian music, and he loves it, and he lived in India, and he understands how beautiful your culture is. Your culture is so rich, the music, the art, everything, and you know, I just gotta say, you know, it's something very important, like and I just wanted you to know that my son is a big fan of Indian music from when he was a baby, from when he was a child. He used to listen to the radio and look for something, because blind children, television is really not doesn't attract them. So his thing was the radio, and he came across an Indian station on the radio, and he fell in love with Indian music, and what he learned playing tabla with the individual fingers playing tabla. He took all of that and he applied it to the piano. So a lot of
Wow.
his skill on the piano he learned from playing tabla, you know. And before we say goodbye, I just wanted you to know that little side story,
Oh, that's
okay? Because
beautiful. Beautiful.
yeah,
Thank you for sharing that. And from myself, I would like to take this huge opportunity to first of all thank Maestro Henry Fiol. Your time has been invaluable. You're such a humble guy, and you've been so educational. You've taught us something new, and you've talked about your musical journey and about your book and who you are as a person and about your family. We are so honored to learn from you, and thank you for sharing all your stories with us. It's an absolute blessing for us. And I would also like to thank Nisha, my co-presenter, for sitting up so late at night in India. It's about 3 o'clock in the morning or something crazy like that.
Not yet.
Thank you so much always for your support and your love. You're such a fantastic character and a wonderful, wonderful person. And my friend DJ Leche, of course, in the house. I'm going to put your photo up on the main screen here. I'll hide here. You are such an amazing DJ. Your sets are wonderful. I love it when you sing while you're playing your sets and you dance away. It's so cool and entertaining. Absolutely love it. And of course, to Cara, many happy returns. A very very happy birthday. Thank you so much for joining us today, and I wish you a very very good year, healthy, happy, lots of dancing, and keep doing what you're doing. Yeah, and keep smiling. And
Thank you, dear Amos. I appreciate you very much. Thank you, Nisha, for staying up so late. And DJ Leche, thank you so much for your knowledge. You've really contributed so much to our talk today, and I really appreciate that, and I appreciate you.
also to all the listeners, thank you guys. Without you, this wouldn't be possible because we're doing this to get all of you together, and we're discovering new artists. Well, artists in general, and then we're talking about their stories and sharing with you guys their musical journey. And it's always great to have you on board. To Ricardo Linel, to Carlos Lopez, to Yeva, DJ Yeva in Lithuania, and to
DJ Coben Paul
Corin,
Jackson is there.
yes, Corin Paul
Mike
Jackson,
Yapong is
yes,
there.
Tony Salsa King Gonzalez, Hazel Hughes, Anita Maria, Lena, and the list is
Gerald
just
White.
Gerald, yes, and everybody else. You want to shout a few
Greg.
names out?
Yes, DJ Greg White, Greg there, and Erhard, my friend from India, Trevor. Anya has been there all along with us, always.
Yes,
Frank Mauricio,
and to Guri Guri, to Michael Gyapon, lovely people out there. Thank you very much for showing us
Anita
your love.
Maria.
And listen, guys, at the bottom of the page, there is the link. Check out Henry Field's new book, The Short End of the Stick. I'm telling you, it's an excellent read, and you'll really, really enjoy it. And thank you very much, everybody. Once again, wishing you all
Gerard.
a very good night. Yes, Gerard as well, all the way in Ireland. So it's all great. And to Antonio Torres, who briefly breezed in and breezed out as well. So mustn't forget to mention him. And to Jennifer Ford as well.
And
Thank you,
Tito
guys.
Rodriguez Jr.
Yes,
stopped in.
Tito Rodriguez Jr. was in the house as well,
Billy
of course.
Crespo.
Billy Crespo. You guys are just amazing. You know, you've kept the evening lively by sharing your questions and participating in what we're doing here. It's absolutely brilliant. Thank you very, very much indeed. Absolutely. Thank
Maestro
you very much.
Henry, thank you.
well, thank you very much. Thank you, DJ Amos and Carol, Nisha, and Emilio. It was a real pleasure. You don't know how happy I am to do interviews in English because all of my interviews are in Spanish, and I'm more comfortable in English, so I can really express myself a whole lot better in English than I can in Spanish. So this is like a real big opportunity for me to just express some of the things I want to say in my native language, which is English. So thank you for the opportunity. God bless all of you, and I'll see you soon. I hope in Bristol.
See you in Miami.
In
Bristol.
in Bristol. We'll definitely be meeting you in Bristol. So, guys, if you're listening and you're in London or you're in Manchester or anywhere, Bob Croucher, I'll take you over there in my car. You just jump in and I'll drive. So make sure you guys are ready in January for Henry's concert in Bristol.
Celebrating Henry's birthday.
Absolutely.
Well, it's a week.
Close to it.
Close to it. Okay.
What date is it in January?
16th?
You know, it's funny. Roberto Roena and myself, we have the same birthday. Not the same year. He's a little older than me, but we have the same birthday, January 16th.
Mine is January the 14th. Yeah.
Capricorn. There you go.
There you go. All the good people from Capricorn world. Yes. Stay safe, guys, and thank you very, very much. Peace. And God bless you, Henry. Take care.
God bless you. Thank you very much to all of you. A pleasure.
Take care. Bye-bye for now. Bye, everybody.
Bye.